You know, all through the show, there's been sort of a special excitement backstage.
That's right, and there's only one man that can stir up that kind of excitement around here.
Yeah, and there's only one man who can give that man the proper introduction. Mr. McMahon, will you do the honors?
I shall. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Johnny.
You know, when you and Ed invited me back again, even though, of course, you know, Monday is my bowling night.
Oh, yes, I do know that.
I could not say no.
I understand you brought some bloopers with you.
You better hope so. We're going to have a very dull 2 minutes here. Yeah.
No, these are from the Tonight Show?
Right. Before we do those, I'd like to say something about the both of you.
Oh.
You know, I watch the show pretty regularly.
Really? Hey, that's great.
You guys have got a pretty cushy job.
Wait a minute. Well, what's he talking about? Cushy? What do you mean cushy?
I mean cushy.
How come what?
You don't have to do a thing. You stand around and wait for the rest of us to screw up. You got a show.
I mean, we do depend on mistakes.
You got it. But you use everybody's mistakes. Actors, newsmen, even animals. Now, you know, I go out to the monologue.
Right.
I work hard to get a couple of laughs.
Right.
You show one clip of a baboon mooning Marlon Perkins.
Well, if it's any consolation, we got a big reaction from some old clips from Who Do You Trust?
I want to talk to you about that, too. Why do you show all those old clips, you know? I'm going through puberty all the time. Now, I'll tell you what. I brought some recent clips of myself from The Tonight Show. Now, these are the last couple of years, and I think they're kind of fun.
Johnny, as I recall, this first blooper occurred during one of the comedy pieces you do at the desk every night.
Yeah, now, as Ed will tell you, a lot of times a joke looks great on the paper. And as soon as you say it out loud, you know you're in big trouble. Now, we were doing a piece one night called Carson's Believe It or Stuff It.
Right.
And this is the night we should have stuffed it. In 1945, just before his death in the Fuhrer's bunker in Berlin, Adolf Hitler had a vision of Johnny Mathis recording The Windmills of Your Mind. Holy...
Anyone who watches The Tonight Show knows that Johnny does a great impression of the president, President Reagan, in full makeup. You've seen him?
Great impression, I might add, but I've always been curious. Have you ever gotten any reaction from the president?
Well, actually, Freddie DeCordova, our executive producer, knows the president for many years. And he saw him a couple of weeks ago, and apparently the president saw one of the sketches, and he actually liked it.
And you sound like that surprises you.
I didn't know the president stayed up that late. But...
Now, in this particular piece, it's a press conference, and there's a couple of slips of the tongue.
You might say that.
Yeah.
Do you have a plan to have a summit meeting with Soviet leader Andropov?
Well, I may shave myself with a banjo at the same time. But well... I plan to make it a federal crime to listen to a nude fat man slide down the Naugahyde fire pole.
Now, did you bring along the caveman sketch?
I did. You know why?
Why?
Why should I just humiliate myself? Now, in this next piece, there is enough humiliation for the both of us.
I wonder if he's around. Oh, hello? Hello? Is anybody in there? It's good to see you, man. May I ask your name? Is your name? How'd you get a name like that?
My parents, when I was born, wait a minute, I'll go for it.
How did you get a name like that?
When I was born, my parents took one look at me and said,
Now, according to Dr. Leakey, you were the first man to walk on 2 feet. Why did you decide after millions of years to get up off all fours instead of that and stand on 2 feet? What the hell did you do?
interview with Stephanie Zimbalist of Remington Steel.
Yeah, you know what often happens. You've done this often enough. You're having an interview. Things are not going well. And she was a little hesitant, so sometimes you try to answer for them. You say anything that comes to your mind. This is what came to mind, and it shouldn't have come to mind.
Yeah, I keep a book. I don't know what I'll do with it. My best friend and I are collecting all these different expressions.
And some of them are a little more,
Yeah, well, they're colorful. They're all from different parts of the country.
but there's none of them that you can say outside of...
Oh,
What's the closest one you could say without getting us off the air immediately?
oh, dear. Oh, I can't think of any, of course. My brain goes blank.
I suppose go your hat would be out.
I'm sorry. I don't know what possessed me.
Johnny, you mentioned Freddie DeCordova before. He is the executive producer of The Tonight Show?
Yes, a suave, debonair man who never makes a false move.
Wrong. Freddie, during the show, usually sits right out of, camera range, and just so I can see him, have eye contact. During the commercial, he comes off over, talks to me during the show. The idea is Freddie is supposed to wait until the commercial, and the camera is off. Here's Mr. Smoothie.
I don't worry about either one of those young men doing very well in Afterlife. This is our producer, Fred DeCordova, who's walking back here, who thinks the camera is still off. But we'll be back in just a moment. It's another show.
Now, occasionally, we try to do sketches that feature some really big stars. Now, this particular night, a few years ago, we were doing a Western sketch, typical Western sketch, with George C. Scott and June Allison.
That was the night that George C. played an unexpected prank on you during the sketch.
Something General Patton would never have done.
I got 36 slugs in me.
Well, there's a lot of that going around here. Let me take a look. Oh, that's pretty fast. Brandy, quick. Here.
no, Doc, you've got to operate.
I can't operate. I'm rusty.
Rusty, you've been oiled for 15 years, Doc.
Cough now.
Let me cough again, Doc.
Johnny, thanks very much for celebrating. Keeping bloopers and practical jokes.
Guys, I enjoyed it, and I'll tell you something. I really do appreciate you showing my bloopers here. You know, most of my bloopers seem to wind up in court. But such is life, and look, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Ladies and gentlemen, Johnny Carson.
Next, this is our live star Corey Moore gets caught in a real-life soap opera.